The moment I stopped being their daughter was the moment I realized I had never been one to begin with. I was on the 44th floor of a glass tower in Denver, snow hissing against the windows like static, when the video call popped up. I was 3 hours into salvaging a rail blockage that would have cost the company $12 million, but the name on the screen was Claire and Tom, home. I answered, because that's what spare parts do. Ellie Bear. Mom's face filled the frame, flushed with the kind of excitement people reserve for lottery wins. Quick favor. We had to bump you from the Amalfi house. Luca's investor flew in last minute. He's basically funding the entire wedding, so we gave him your suite. But there's this adorable agriturismo 20 minutes away. You'll probably like it better anyway. Rustic chic is so your vibe. My cursor froze over the freight manifest. Mom, I wired $7,000 2 days ago for the group tickets. Tiny silence. Then Dad's voice off camera. Tell her about the seats. Mom's smile got wider, the way it always did when she was about to drop a bomb, and call it glitter. So Harper's launching her swimwear dropped the day after we land. She needs natural light for the campaign shots on the flight. We upgraded her to the Life Flat Pod. You know how harsh airplane fluorescents are on fillers. I felt it happen in real time. Something inside my chest quietly unplugged itself. I ended the call without a word, opened the fire safe bolted to the floor of my office, and pulled out the single item I'd kept hidden for 6 years, a plain manila folder labeled Eleanor Day, Contingency. Inside was a cashier's check for $241,000 made out to me from my late grandmother's estate, the one nobody knew existed because I had been the only person Graham trusted to keep a secret. Graham's handwriting on the sticky notes still attached. When they finally drain the well, kid, you don't owe them the bucket. I didn't rage. I scheduled. Friday 6:03 a.m. Resignation letter printed, placed on my boss Derek Lang's desk while he was still bragging on LinkedIn about the crisis his team solved. Derek tried the old non-compete song and dance. I let him finish, then said, good luck enforcing that in Oceania. He didn't get the joke until 6 months later. By Sunday night my loft was bare. I paid triple to break the lease in cash, sold everything that wouldn't fit in 2 duffels, and walked away from Denver with nothing but a new passport under the name E.M. Day, a one-way ticket to Auckland, and a heart that had finally gone quiet. I ghosted so cleanly that the only proof I still existed was a single-line email that landed in my parents' inbox on the 1st of every month for the next 4 years. Alive. Well, do not search. While I was busy becoming someone else, the Callahan family learned what life support actually feels like when you pull the plug. Dad discovered he didn't know his own social security number without the password manager I'd built. Mom's Botox appointment got canceled because the credit card on file was declined. Harper's Amalfi content went viral for all the wrong reasons when the villa's power cut out mid-ceremony and the generator guy only spoke Italian. Nobody had my contact for the translator I'd pre-booked. The lake house in Montana, 4 generations of memories, went to sheriff's sale because the property tax escrow I used to refill every quarter had lapsed. They learned my name had been on more of their accounts than theirs ever was. Meanwhile, in a tiny South Island town whose name I still can't pronounce, I nearly died from a spider bite the size of a quarter. 41 degrees Celsius fever, hallucinations, the whole dramatic montage. At 3 a.m., I almost dialed home. I even got as far as hearing the ringtone before I remembered Harper's voice on that video call. You'll probably like it better anyway. I threw the phone into the Pacific instead. A Maori midwife named Hein found me half dead on her porch and refused payment, just said, we take care of our own strays. She saved my life with tea made from trees I'd never heard of and stories about ancestors who walked away from toxic bloodlines without looking back. When I could walk again, I started buying hand-woven korowai cloaks, Panama carvings, manuka honey that cost more per jar than most people made in a day. I moved from Mary to Mary, paying artists what their work was actually worth and signing contracts on the hoods of rusty trucks. By year 2, I was shipping containers to Rodeo Drive and Bergdorf with margins that made grown buyers cry. That was when Marisol Vega hunted me down. Marisol ran Orion Trade out of Seattle and had once made a Fortune 500 CEO cry on a conference call. She found me drinking flat whites in a surf shack cafe. "I don't care that you have zero LinkedIn," she said. "I care that you turned sheep wool and greenstone into 8 figures from the back seat of a 1998 Hilux. Come run global procurement for me. 550 base, full P&L, and I'll throw in the keys to whatever city you want." I chose Seattle. New skyline. Old ghosts couldn't find me here. I never reached out. They found out I was back the way everyone else did when Orion quietly took every single client Derek's firm had spent a decade courting. Derek did what cornered men do. He went hunting for collateral damage. He found Harper, freshly canceled after a sponsorship scandal, drowning in debt and resentment. 10 grand in cash and a promise of revenge was all it took for her to hand over forged Slack logs and doctored export files. Derek strode into Orion's boardroom waving his fairy tale evidence like it was the 10 Commandments. I was ready. I'd been ready since the night I learned he was shaving 38% off his tariffs by misclassifying shipments as ceramic tableware when they were actually Italian leather handbags. One encrypted tip to U.S. Customs, one conveniently random container hold in Tacoma, and Derek's empire folded like wet cardboard. He was escorted out in zip ties, while Marisol promoted me on the spot to President of Global Operations. 3 months later I flew home. Not to reconcile. To finish. I booked the private room at canless, tall windows, city lights glittering like spilled diamonds, and waited. They arrived looking like a family that had aged 10 years in 2. Dad's hair had surrendered completely. Mom's jewelry was gone except her wedding ring. Harper wore fast fashion and the expression of someone who'd finally met consequences. My sister Lauren, the bride, was 8 months pregnant and couldn't stop staring at me like I was a ghost. I didn't speak until the waiter vanished. Then I slid a flash drive across the table. "Open it." Dad did. His face drained of color as he scrolled through 6-year-old body cam footage. Harper, stumbling drunk, smashing a $180,000 Ferrari, fleeing the scene. My signature on the restitution agreement. My bank statements showing every penny I drained to keep her out of prison. Lauren started crying. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. I placed a key on the table. Heavy. Old brass. The spare to the Montana Lake house. "I bought it back," I said. "Paid cash. Title's in a trust that only answers to me." Dad reached for the key. I didn't stop him this time. "You can still use it. Labor Day. Christmas. Whatever. No rent." Relief flooded their faces. I leaned in until they could feel the temperature drop. Harper is never allowed on the property again until she repays the $72,000 she cost me that night, plus interest. That's $109,400 with a very generous rate. She has until she's 40. After that, the debt doubles yearly. Harper sobbed so hard the table shook. I stood. "I didn't come here for apologies. I came to return the feeling you gave me for 29 years, the feeling that my life was a line item on someone else's budget." I dropped a black Amex on the table to cover the wine we never drink. "Enjoy the lake. Take lots of pictures. Just remember who decides if the gate stays open." I walked out into the Seattle night, lighter than air. 18 months later, on my 32nd birthday, I was in the Maple Leaf Lounge at Seattle Tacoma, boarding a first-class seat to Reykjavik I'd paid for with my own bonus, when the text came. "Mom, the peonies you planted are insane this year. Happy birthday, Eleanor. We love you. We're so sorry." I looked at those words for a long time. Then I typed 8 words, hit send, and turned my phone to airplane mode. "Thank you. Flying. I'll call when I land." I didn't know if I would. I only knew the lake house was mine, the company was mine, the sky was mine, and for the first time in my entire life, nobody was waiting for me to fix anything. I boarded the plane smiling. I had finally, completely, irrevocably fixed myself.